Aloha, and thank you for joining CES Training for Housing Programs. Today we're going to cover how to request referrals from CES in Clarity and how to acknowledge the referrals that CES sends to you. We'll also cover a few different referral results that could take place throughout the housing navigation process. So we'll cover how to deny a referral prior to enrollment. We'll cover how to exit a client from an enrollment prior to move-in. And we'll also show you how to enter a move-in date. So with that, we'll get started, and I'll first show you how to request referrals from CES in Clarity. So I'm here on my home screen, and the first thing we want to do is make sure we're in our housing program agency. In this situation, for training purposes, we're going to pretend that Partners in Care has a housing program, and I'm going into Clarity and I'm requesting referrals from CES. So you want to look here for the referrals button. And if you don't see it for whatever reason, you'll want to use the search button. And this is going to kind of serve as a home button. So again, I'm looking for referrals and I'm going to select that. And then you'll see this menu here at the top. Our next step is to select availability from this menu. And then we're looking for our housing program that has vacancies. So in this case, I'm going to be using this test housing program. And I'm going to be looking for limited availability. We want to make sure this is highlighted in blue. Then I'm going to select the down arrow and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And I'm looking to add a single opening today. You can also add multiple openings if you have multiple vacancies in your program. So I'm going to select add single opening and a form is going to pop up and I'm going to move through this form. So I'm going to be selecting today's date here at the top. This is the date of your referral request. I'm also going to select a due date. Let's say I'd like these referrals sent to me by next Friday, the 25th. Selecting that. And then you'll see these toggles. You'll want to click any special eligibility categories that are required by your program. Once I've done that, I'm going to look here at the additional notes section at the top. And this is for anything you feel is important for CES to know about your request. So let's say I'm a family transitional housing program and the unit that I have available is a studio. I would want to make note of that here and say 1 studio unit available. If you are using the multiple vacancies form, you can specify how many of each unit type you have, or again, anything you think is important for CES to know about your request that is not already covered in the form. So once I've completed the form, I'm going to click Save. And if I scroll to the bottom, that's where my most recent request is going to appear. A couple of things to note here. If a client is enrolled in your program but exits prior to move-in, you will need to submit a new referral request to fill that vacancy. So it's going to go away. It's going to be removed from this list once you enroll that person in your program. On the other hand, if a client is denied from your program prior to enrollment, the vacancy is going to stay here. So you just want to make sure that you're checking this availability page, you're managing it. And we are going to show you next how to delete one of these requests if it's no longer needed. So I'm going to just show you once more how to get back to this page. We're going to hit search, bringing us back to the home screen. We're making sure we're in the housing program agency at the top and we're selecting referrals. We're back on the referral screen now. And I'm going back to availability. This is where all those requests are going to show up under my housing program. Let's go ahead and delete this one here at the top. So all you need to do is look for the trash can icon, hit select. You'll get a pop-up here just confirming that you want to delete the opening. I'm going to select OK. And now that vacancy has been erased. So that is how you delete a referral request. We're going to move on and we're going to show how to acknowledge CES referrals once they're made. So I'm back on my home screen. I'm once again making sure I'm in my housing program agency at the top. I'm selecting referrals and we want to be right here in the pending tab. So it brought me straight there. I'm going to go down and I'm going to look for the pending clients that have open referrals to my program. And I'm going to find the one I want, and I'm going to select the edit pencil beside their name. And it's going to bring up this form. So we're looking for the status row here, and it automatically says pending. But what we need to do to acknowledge the referral is select the dropdown and change the status from pending to pending in process. From there, we're going to click Save Changes. And my changes were successfully saved. So the reason why we need to change the status from pending to pending in process is because this shows that you are in receipt of the referral. You've acknowledged it and you're beginning to work on housing navigation. Until you change the status from pending to pending in process, you will receive a notification once a day, just reminding you to go in and look at your referrals that are pending. So until you do that, you will get that notification. Right, so I've hit Save Changes. That's been confirmed for me here at the top. And I'm going to click the search button and bring us back to the home page. And we're going to show how to deny a referral prior to program enrollment. So we're going to, once again, make sure we're under our agency's role. I'm selecting referrals, and I want to be back here at the pending tab. So one thing to note here, you'll notice that the client whose referral I've went in and acknowledged, their background is now in green. And this referral here is still pending, and it hasn't been changed to pending in process, so it's going to stay with a white background. All right, so what we want to do is go back into our referral here. I'm going to select the edit pencil, and I'm scrolling down again to this status dropdown. So what we're doing is we're denying this referral, and the person has never been enrolled in the program. So what we want to do is select the dropdown, and we're changing the status again from pending in process to denied. Once you select denied, you're going to see the denied by type. I'm going to click here, and let's say that the client denied and they are refusing services. So I filled out my denied by type and the reason. And then you have to fill out the denial information. This is a requirement to save the form. So let's say that in this situation, client declined due to concerns about affordability. So once we filled out that form, we're going to select Save Changes. And that person has successfully been denied from the program. You've completed that form. And there's a couple things to note here. So the person who completed the initial community queue referral, they're going to receive a notification that their client has been denied from the program, and they are going to have to go back in and refer the client back to the community queue if this client needs additional referrals from CES. Once clients are referred to a housing program, they're automatically taken off the community queue, and that's why they have to be added back in order to receive additional referrals. Coordinated entry enrollments are going to remain active unless the client is housed or the enrollment is manually closed. If there's anyone else that should be aware that the client has been denied from your program, please be sure to reach out to them. And last, if the client should not be considered for other referrals after this denial, let's say the person moved off island, they have in some way or another resolved their case, it is up to the housing program to exit their coordinated entry program enrollment. Right, so the last point I said there was that if someone has resolved their case, it's up to the housing program to exit the client's coordinated entry program enrollment. So let's show how to do that. We're going to again go back to the search. And in this case, if we're exiting a coordinated entry program enrollment, you do actually want to be in the partners in care role. That's where that takes place. So we're in the partners in care role, and I'm going to be looking for my test client here in my recent searches. Next, I'm going to select programs here at the top, and I'm looking for this active coordinated entry program enrollment. Once I've found that, I'm selecting the edit pencil, and I'm going to select exit here from the top menu. Okay, I'm going to select my exit destination, and I'm scrolling to the bottom and selecting save and close. Choose today's date as the exit date. Okay, so now that we have saved that, as you can see, the person is no longer enrolled in the coordinated entry program. The housing program went in and they exited this because the person has resolved their case and they should no longer be considered for referrals through CES. All right, I'm going to take us back to our home screen and we're going to move on to the next section here. So that is how to complete a housing program enrollment. So we're here on the home page. I am, in this case, going to go back into my agency where the housing program is, and we're going to select the client that we'd like to enroll in the housing program. I'm going to select this here, finding my client, going to the client profile. Next, I'm going to click on programs here at the top. And at the bottom, you'll see that my test housing program is available for enrollment. So I'm going to select this arrow and I'm scrolling down. And this is important to note. You'll see this toggle, it's already toggled on. It says program placement is a result of a referral provided by Partners in Care. In other words, you are completing this enrollment and it is attached to a CES referral. That is what you want, so you don't want to touch this toggle. It should be there in blue. So once you've confirmed that that's on, you're going to select the enroll button here. And it's going to bring me right to the enrollment screen. Project start date is today's date. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here and I'm going to save and close. And now the person has been enrolled in my housing program. Okay, going to take us back to the home screen again, and we're going to move into the next section here, which is how to exit a household from an enrollment prior to moving in. So once again, we're on our home screen, making sure we're in our housing program role. So in your agency's role, we're going to search for our client again. Mine is right here in my recent searches. I'm going to select that. Next, I'm going to go to my programs tab to find the active housing program enrollment. That's going to be right here at the top. I'm going to click the edit pencil. And then I'm going to look for the exit button because we want to exit this person from the housing program enrollment. So if I select exit, it's going to take me to this screen, and then you'll see I have to fill out the exit destination, the reason for exit prior to move in, and then the additional exit notes. So let's go ahead and select an exit destination. I'm going to say staying or living with friends or family. Let's go with family permanently. Reason for exit from the housing program prior to move-in. Let's say that this client disagreed with the program rules, and then you'll see additional exit notes here. I'm going to say client had income, but was not willing to pay a portion of rent. So this client is declining the resource. They've disagreed with the rules of the program because it did require them to put a portion of their rent, of their income towards rent. So that's their reason for exit. You will see a note here. It says, if a client should still be considered for other CES referrals after this exit, please be sure to refer the client back to the community queue. This is actually the role of the provider of record or the care team. So they must be informed that the person is being exited from the program. And if the person still needs a referral from CES, it'll be up to that provider of record to add them back or refer them back to the community queue. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here and I'm going to click Save and Close. I'm getting a pop-up and it says you entered data indicating that this individual client is within a permanent destination. As a result, this individual client will be exited from coordinated entry program enrollments. You are advised to review other household member data, including head of household status. Please confirm. So I'm just going to highlight here. The reason this popped up is because I selected that my client is moving in with family and that is permanent tenure. So the system recognizes that and it will exit the person's coordinated entry enrollment automatically because it's a permanent destination. Okay, so that is all good. I'm going to select OK and wait for this to load, and the client has been exited successfully from my housing program. Right. I'm going to go back to my home screen and we're going to move on to the last section of training, and that is how to enter a move-in date. So I'm on my home screen. I'm making sure I'm in my housing program agency role. I'm going to be searching for my client. So I have mine in my recent searches. I'm going to select their profile. I'm going to toggle to the Programs tab at the top, and then I'm going to look for my open housing program enrollment. So this is active. I'm going to select the Edit Pencil. Then I'm going to look at this top menu and go to the enrollment screen. And then you'll see the housing move-in date section right here at the top. I'm going to select the calendar and I'm going to choose today's date. So it prompts you here. It says complete housing move-in date when client moves into a permanent housing unit. So my client moved in today. Once I've done that, I'm scrolling all the way to the bottom and I'm selecting Save and Close. And that has been successfully saved. So one thing to note here, the client in this case would be exited from the coordinated entry program enrollment because they've been permanently housed. So that's no longer going to be open for them. And that is exactly what you want. They are housed and they don't need any assistance through CES. Right, so that is the end of the training for housing programs. And I'm just going to recap what we went over today. So this screen here, it shows you the Clarity referral workflow, and at the bottom is the legend. So anything in blue is the housing programs role. So what we went over today was how to go into Clarity and request referrals from CES as the housing program, how the housing program acknowledges referrals or changes the status from pending to pending in process. And then we also covered a few different scenarios. So we covered how the housing program denies a referral prior to enrollment. We covered the workflow for how to exit a client from the enrollment prior to move-in. And then last, we showed how the housing program goes into the enrollment and enters the move-in date. And that's the end of the CES referral process. If you have any questions about the workflow or any questions for the CES team, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you so much.